This is the time of year where Niner fans become YouTube scouts, and they go on YouTube and try to see all the film of the wide receivers in particular the Niners could draft in the first round this year to replace Emmanuel Sanders. They look at what the player does well, what he doesn't do well, and try to determine who the best fit is for the 49ers. Well, the way I do that is I take you through exactly what that player, Emmanuel Sanders, did for the 49ers. If you missed that video, it's the last one I published, exactly how the Niners used him and the routes that he ran most frequently. If you missed that, it's 15 minutes. Watch that first, then come back to this. Today I'm going through, I'm going to break down a wide receiver from Penn State named Hamler. He's 5'9", about 180 pounds. He's small, he's quick, he's electric. And I'm going to show you him running as many of the routes that I could find that Emmanuel Sanders typically runs with the 49ers. So let's get right into it. In the Emmanuel Sanders video I just made, I show you how often he lined up in the slot. Even when he wasn't technically the slot receiver, when there were only two receivers on the field, he was usually lined up inside the numbers, right around a spot like this, either on the ball or off of it. Here we got Hamler off the ball 2 yards, playing slot receiver on 3rd and 5 for Penn State. Not a prolific passing team. This is 2018 against Ohio State, one of the best defenses in the country. Watch what he does to this cornerback. Look at the quickness off the line of scrimmage. And now look at the acceleration right there. Pulling away from some of the best athletes in the nation. This guy did not run a 40 at the combine. His hamstring hurt. But had he run a 40, I think he would have run low 4.4, high 4.3. But again, before we get into just how fast he is, I mean, Marquise Goodwin is fast, but he can't do this. Goodwin can't line up in the slot and win on a quick slant consistently like Emmanuel Sanders can or KJ Hamler can. This looks a lot like Emmanuel Sanders. Beautiful route. Adjust to the pass that is low, down by his knees, and just excel. Look at that knee lift. Look at that stride length. It's a long stride for a little guy. So that was a slant in the middle of the field that KJ Hamler took the distance for a touchdown. Here he is in the red zone. He's only 5'8", but he's a weapon in the red zone too, like Emmanuel Sanders. He's in the slot again. He's going to run another slant. Watch how quick he is and what a good route runner he is. I mean, really nice. Watch it again. Gets the cornerback to lean the wrong direction. I mean, can we slow it down to really get a feel for how he got this cornerback to lean? Here we go. Jab step to the right. Cornerback jumps to the wrong side. Touchdown. Catches the ball with his hands. Nice play. You've seen KJ Hamler run slants. Let's see him run option routes. This is another thing that Emmanuel Sanders does well, Trent Taylor does well. Slot receivers need to be able to do. Run about 5 yards at the defender in front of you and break either inside or outside and get open. Up to the wide receiver usually. Let's see how KJ Hamler does it here. Boom, boom. Open. And what you see from him a lot is he's got some juice after the catch. He's not Deebo Samuel. He's not going to run over people, but he's not Marquise Goodwin either. He's got wiggle. He's electric. He's quite similar. He reminds me of a young Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, it's a nice option route. Creates some separation. Another low pass from a weak quarterback, and a nice play after the catch. Here he is running another option route. He's not going to get the ball here because he played, I mean, in 2018, he played with Trace McSorley, a quarterback who was okay in college. This guy, I don't even know his name, 14. He's just terrible. Doesn't even look his way sometimes. But this is a beautiful option route, probably even better than the one I just showed you in the previous clip. Watch this. Boom, boom, boom. Ooh. One more time. I mean, the guy almost falls over trying to cover him. Boom, boom, boom. Really almost falls over. Quarterback never looks there because he's terrible. And that's the thing about KJ Hamler. He's playing in the Big Ten, which is a run-first conference. He's on a run-first team. The quarterback play isn't good. His numbers aren't overwhelming, although he averaged about 17 yards per catch in college. I mean, had he played in the Big 12 where there's no defense, on a team like Oklahoma where the quarterback gets drafted first every year, with Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. He might have been Hollywood Brown, who was the 25th pick in the draft last year. Instead, this guy's going a little bit under the radar. That's a hell of a route, and Shanahan would be quite impressed. All right, here is KJ Hamler running a dig route, or just a square in route over the middle. A slant is a quick up the field, a post is deep down the middle of the field, and a square in is about 10, 12 yards over the middle. It's what Pierre Garçon did great. It's what the Niners really didn't want Deebo Samuel doing too much of last year because he was dropping the ball. It's what Emmanuel Sanders really, it's a role he took on last year, even though he's not built for it. He's small, and you take some big hits running a square in. But he did it pretty well and didn't drop too many passes. Again, the major knock on Hamler is that he does drop some passes. I think it's correctable, but let's watch him run a dig right here. He's not a slot receiver here. Lines up a little bit more outside, although he gets a tight split and wins easily. Catches the ball with his hands away from his body. Boom, nice hands, nice speed. Turns so effortlessly. Big gain, big play. It's a nice dig route. In my Emmanuel Sanders video, I mentioned how frequently Kyle Shanahan lines him up in these tight splits, very close to the offensive line, not out by the sideline, and this allows Sanders to either run across the field or gives him space to run out routes. Let's watch KJ Hamler run an out route. This one's a quick one. Big time separation, and what you see with him a lot, it's not over. He's just getting started after he catches the ball. Now, doesn't extend to catch the ball with his hands, sort of cradles it in his armpit, which is pretty much how Emmanuel Sanders catches the ball too. It's not how you teach it, and I'm sure the Niners will, if they draft him, encourage him to use his hands more, but what's important is that he doesn't drop it. Now, I've seen that he's dropped a bunch of passes in college. I think he had 12 drops last year. That's partially a product of him catching the ball in his armpit as opposed to extending his hands. He can work on that. I mean, Deebo Samuel dropped a bunch of passes last year too. It doesn't mean he's necessarily a dropper. But I attribute some of his drops to the fact that he's playing with a very, very inconsistent quarterback who doesn't put the ball where it should be most of the time. Because he makes some difficult catches, and wow, when he gets the ball, look at how much juice he gives you. One route I showed you Emmanuel Sanders running to perfection was the deep curl route, which gained him about 18 yards consistently. KJ Hamler didn't run that route at Penn State. That really wasn't part of the Penn State offense. The deep curl route is a longer developing route. It usually is paired with the 7-step drop from the quarterback, and those are things you see more in the NFL than in college. In college, the offensive lines aren't as good. The ball comes out quicker. A lot of quick passes and RPO stuff, which is real quick one-read stuff as opposed to drop back, turn your back, play action, turn around, give the wide receiver a chance to run 18 yards and stop. So it looks like he has the speed and quickness to run the deep curl, but it's not on tape. That's something you'd like to see in a private workout. This is a deep over route. This is something else that Emmanuel Sanders ran a lot and made catches like that frequently. Ball's a little underthrown, gets his hands underneath it, makes a beautiful catch. This guy's a weapon on a deep over route. And the way the Niners would do this is not have a straight drop back, but Jimmy Garoppolo would be under center. He would drop back and either roll out to the left or play action, stay central in the pocket. But that's a play action play, and it's one of the Niners' staples in their offense. And KJ Hamlin runs it well. Final route I want to show you, it's the post route. It's the most important route that Sanders' replacement needs to run. It's what Sanders ran when he caught the deep pass against the Rams on 3rd and 16 to beat them. It's what he caught early against the Saints for a touchdown when he fell over, got back up, and ran for the score. And it's what he didn't catch on the toward the end of the Super Bowl when he was open, had beaten 2 guys, and the pass was a little overthrown, and he didn't have that second gear that he maybe used to have to run under the ball or make a play for it, dive, something. Let's see if KJ Hamler has a second gear, a little extra burst to run a post route. This is a slightly slow motion, but watch how he just runs by that guy. He really plays fast. I don't know what his 40 time is, but he looks like the fastest guy on the field in every game he's in. Hell yes, this guy can run the post. I think he would give the Niners a little bit more juice next season running this route than Sanders gave him last year. And I think you could argue that this kid would have caught that pass from Jimmy Garoppolo in the Super Bowl, the one that Sanders didn't. The way I see this kid is he is a perfect replacement for Emmanuel Sanders. I'd be comfortable drafting him with the 31st pick. If the Niners feel they could trade down 10 spots and still get him, great. But again, he's a guy who probably would have ran the 4.3s at the combine. And had he been a 4.3 guy, everyone would be talking about him being at the end of the fourth round, at the end of the first round. Remember, the consensus top 3 guys are Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs. After that, most people consider Justin Jefferson number 4, but then it could go T. Higgins or KJ Hamler. T. Higgins is a lot like A.J. Brown, but not as good, who dropped last year and was a mid to late second round pick. Hamler is a speed receiver like Hollywood Brown, who was a first round pick last year. Teams want speed at wide receiver these days, and he gives it. If you miss out on Henry Ruggs and you want a guy who has real legit speed, 4.4 speed, high 4.3 speed, it's Hamler. I think the Niners are going to give him a very high draft grade, and I would expect teams like the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs would as well. State-of-the-art, cutting-edge teams. What do you think of them?